Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was where? Because I don't remember.
Excuse me? I was thinking about the mics and the tapes. So I'm trying to remember where you were.
Oh, you were talking about the Pope.
Oh, the Pope. One Pope. El Papa. John the 23rd. Okay, and then how his legacy has been destroyed. But anyhow, so I'm in Rome. I've traveled around Europe, had various adventures there. Went from Rome, went on down to someplace, I think Sicily, and then caught a steamer from Sicily to Israel. And I got off the boat in Israel, not knowing anybody, not speaking Hebrew for sure, and not having a great deal of money. And so there I was, and I was looking around me, and all these people are Jews. Even if they look like Arabs, they're still Jews. I thought, oh my God, this is, insane. But it was okay, because the policemen were Jews, and the beggars were Jews, and they were all Jews. So I quickly hooked up with one of the women who had been on the boat. This was a good friend, no libido involved at all. And she told me of a kibbutz that she was going to go to, and she wanted to know if I wanted to go there too. And I think I skipped a kibbutz. I went to a kibbutz and I did a lot of stuff. That's a whole nother story. Maybe we'll get back to it in a few hours. But in the meantime, I went with her to the kibbutz that she had been to Israel before, and she had a crush on one of the kibbutzniks. So she took me along, and I joined the kibbutz as a, I was worked like a kibbutznik. I was worked like the lowest of the low, and at the same time, I was accepted. Even if I had a car, I was still accepted. And they asked me to use the car one time to drive somebody to the hospital. And of course I did. But other than that, the car was parked out of sight because it would have been a temptation to the kids and to other kibbutzniks, and that's not the way kibbutzniks live. This particular group of kibbutzniks were Mapai, Mapam, Achdut Avodah. They were the middle, they were the furthest, the least left of the leftist parties. They were still leftists, they were still communists. They ran the kibbutz like a commune, but they weren't at that far, far extreme. They weren't Bolsheviks. In fact, the Bolsheviks once tried to take over the kibbutz, and what the kibbutzniks did, who were not Bolsheviks, is they rounded up all the Bolsheviks, put them into what's called a vadi. It's a deep crevice. It's like the Grand Canyon. It's what happens when water runs through the desert and erodes it. So they stuck them in this vadi, and they guarded them. And then the rest of the kibbutzniks met in the dining hall, and they voted a moderate left agenda. And so all the Bolsheviks, they left. There was no room for them in this one. They wanted to push us to the far left.
Art, explain about Bolsheviks.
Oh. These were guys who were people, not guys, just women, children, men, everybody on there were dedicated to communism, of almost like the old Stalinists. And yeah, so I mean, that's, except when they were revolutionaries, they were Bolsheviks. And these people still thought of themselves as revolutionaries. You know, they couldn't get their Stalinist agenda through, so they did what they could. That's what a Bolshevik is. And in the kibbutz movement, it's the far left, because they have far left, middle left, less left, moderate, all the way over. There may even have been what we would call right-wing, because they were super nationalists and they wanted to get back both sides of the Jordan and all the rest of that stuff. So that was the far right. And the kibbutz was made up of Anglo speakers. That would be Canadians and Americans. It was made up of South Americans, most of which who were Argentinians and Portuguese, and I guess some Chileans also. And then the rest of it was made up of Anglos who were Canadians, English, Americans. Anybody who spoke English was called an Anglo. And so there were the three different groups. And we all got along together, and the language of the kibbutz was English, because most of the others did speak some English.
And so none of them are native Israelis?
No, I don't think we had any. A native Israeli is a Sabra, and the kibbutz that I went to, that my friend had gone to, is right on the border. Its border and the Gaza Strip are contiguous. They're right next to each other. Congruent, whatever, I don't know. And so we carried rifles and we guarded our border because our fields went right up to the border. And the people who were on the kibbutz were not farmers. They were from Hell's Kitchen and other ghettos and so forth. And so they planted wheat, and they looked every day at their wheat, and it was being irrigated and so forth, and they were very happy, and the wheat was flowing back and forth, like in Oklahoma. And then one day they went out to harvest the wheat, and they found that all that was there was straw, because in the middle of the night, the Arabs on the Gaza Strip would steal into Kisufim and just cut off the tops where the wheat is. The rest of it's straw. You feed that to animals. The wheat is what you want. And they just cut it off. So the kibbutzniks were so stupid about farming that they saw it waving, and they said, oh, that's great. And they went out there and tried to harvest. No wheat, only straw. So one time, one of my friends was guarding, and a cow, I don't know, a cow or a calf, got loose and was running around the kibbutz. And she was from Yemen, and she was very, very unschooled, uneducated. And she didn't know what this was. There was a lot of noise, and she thought the Arabs were invading. And she had an Uzi. Okay? So when you squeeze the trigger on that thing, it really goes. And she squeezed the trigger on it, and then it went all over the place. And she was trying to keep control of it. And she got rid of some electric lines, and she shot the calf, which was great because we had meat for the first time in a very, very long time. Our meals consisted of sour milk before it became yogurt, but it was sour, and cereals and, whatever odds and ends they could scrape together. Every once in a while we get an egg because we had to export the eggs so that we could make money to keep the kibbutz going. Anyhow,